Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for November 14th, 2023, from Revelation chapter 18, the Mighty Angel. Previously, we heard about the final judgment of the great prostitute, which also included a lament for the great prostitute. Those lamenting were the kings of the earth and the merchants, who were lamenting their loss of wealth and power over people. Now we hear about a mighty angel. And whenever a mighty angel appears, this mighty angel appears a couple times in the book of Revelation, but we don't know whether it's the same angel or not. Either way, it's still a very important message from God to the people, and these people are those lamenting the great prostitute. So we continue with Revelation chapter 18, verse 21. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, "So will Babylon, the great city, be thrown down with violence and will be found no more." Now, the angel's casting of a great stone like a great millstone into the sea symbolizes the complete disappearance, you could say, of the great prostitute with the symbolization of Babylon. Strangely enough, this is also very similar to Jeremiah's casting of a scroll into the Euphrates River, again, to symbolize that ancient Babylon would sink and never again rise to plague God's people. So, for the fun of it, let's just go back to the prophet Jeremiah and pick this up. From Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 63. "When you finish reading this book, tie a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates and say, 'Thus shall Babylon sink to rise no more, because of the disaster that I am bringing upon her, and they shall become exhausted.'" Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Now, during the time of John, as he was receiving this vision, many historians believe that Babylon was already destroyed. So when the early Christians would have heard this as part of the vision, they would have realized it was already fulfilled. It's not old news per se, but news of comfort. Just as Babylon was eventually destroyed, so also will be destroyed those who persecuted the church, which they were enduring at that time. So let's continue with the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 22. "And the sound of harpists and musicians, of flute players and trumpeters will be heard in you no more, and a craftsman of any craft will be found in you no more, and the sound of the mill will be heard in you no more." Just as in any ghost town, there will be no sounds of life. Once a noisy city of commerce will be silenced. Just as the persecutors of the church brag about what they can do to us as Christians, they also will be silenced. Verse 23, "And the light of a lamp will shine in you no more, and the voice of a bridegroom and bride will be heard in you no more. For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, and all nations were deceived by your sorcery." Three items: the light of a lamp, the voice of the bridegroom, and the bride. Well, they could just be normal references, but for Christians, we should hear these as key references of Christians living in the community. But you may remember that the Christians have already been rescued by God and removed and protected by God. Those who persecuted the church did not realize that how important it was for Christians to be living in their midst. because it is only through the church that the gospel message continues to ring out. The judgment of the great prostitute has now been established. Verse 24, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all who have been slain on earth. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for listening.